to aircraft-specific
Sure.
egress. So like I talked to you about, there are principles that are inviolate to whatever you're doing, but then also there's procedures that you apply to different situations. So we also teach them about situational awareness. And I think like you were saying, where you had a different maybe outlook after you get through the training.
Right.
And that's also what we believe in. The value of the training is that when you ask somebody to do something they absolutely think they cannot do,
Right.
that they're terrified of doing or whatever that might be, that it changes their outlook from then on.
There's no question about
when
that.
you conquer something,
Yeah.
one of your fears.
The average person out there right now listening, who's obviously not flying a plane, they're not in the military, what can they get out of this? Is there an opportunity for them to come over? I mean, I know you had an open house last week, and I don't know exactly how you guys do that, if that's something you guys do on a regular basis or not. But, I mean, if somebody off the street wants to see this, the equipment is fantastic, and the people over there are great. It's something people should be able to experience. I'm not necessarily saying they need to get in the simulator, but how is that going to benefit the guy who's a teacher over at New London High School or somebody who's a janitor somewhere? How does that work?
We have an open-door policy. We have an open-door policy internally for all employees, and we actually have an open-door policy for the public. Anybody who wants to come by the facility, sometime after 1 o'clock, the simulator is running. They're welcome to watch and learn.
Right.
Separate from that, we also do outreach programs. We've had schools do tours, educational presentations. How does this affect folks for career guidance? Where do they want to go with their futures? Safety, risk mitigation. And a lot of our programs are designed, not necessarily, you don't have to be a pilot. You can ride in airplanes.
Sure.
The skills are applicable if you ride in a vehicle, whether it's a Humvee, a car going over a bridge, going off the bridge.
Okay.
They're applicable for trains. We have land survival, first aid CPR programs, really anything for the general public. The whole focus of the company is to help people help themselves.
So somebody comes off the street, I want to see the place, you give them a tour.
Come on in.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
That's
Anytime.
great. I mean, I love that. And I know a lot of people, like we were talking about earlier, the girls here, they think they're going to be tough enough to get in that thing.
We're going to try.
I hope you guys please do that.
You would
Please.
you would be surprised at how tough some of the
I'm
girls
sure
are.
they are.
It's
I'm
amazing.
sure they-
Yeah.
Like I just watched the video a couple of minutes ago, and it seemed to me like I was underwater for like a half hour.
And you
And it was
learn.
only 5 seconds. You know what I
Right,
mean? But
right,
it doesn't. Have you guys experienced that too with a lot of people?
Yeah, people think they're under there forever.
Most everyone.
Yeah.
I'm like, get me out of here.
I mean, we do training all the time as instructors, generally with our mask on, but we also, as a part of our protocols, everyone has to go through the training on a periodic basis as
Right.
a student, so
Okay.
that you don't forget
Right.
what it's like to be a student.
What was the scariest scenario that you guys ever had to go through in your training processes? For
Getting
this?
you out.
Mine too. Mine too.
That was scary for me because I've never had a student completely overpower me in the dunker, because usually I have leverage and the mask, and I usually have the advantage. But yeah, when you pulled yourself back in, you just completely ran over me. And John, not to
No, that-
Scariest
Back
scenario
here,
for
need
me
my
was
heart.
probably the day that we had somebody come in for training who had been through a real ditching, and he was the only survivor. And he hadn't been in a pool or training since then. And we got into the simulator, and you could watch his face underwater. He was having flashbacks. That was scary because we weren't sure what he was going to do.
Sure. Why did he have to come back?
He came back because he wanted to.
He wanted
He
to.
came back to let us know what had happened during the accident. He gave a discussion for the staff, which is good for learning what happens during an accident. And he asked if he could get in the simulator so he could work through his own fears.
Did he get out by himself in his original crash, or was it just a miracle he got thrown?
It
from
was
the
a
plane or
miracle,
something?
actually. He was in the front seat, and he found himself underwater in the river in his seat on the bottom of the riverbed. And he
Just
was the
like
only
that.
survivor. He got ejected through the front canopy. Everybody else
Back
died.
down. See, I was telling everybody here too. I can't imagine a scenario, but you guys obviously train people for this. But when you flip over and you get disoriented, I'm shocked that anybody makes it out of there without any training alive ever, I mean, ever.
Well, if you look at a bell curve, some people happen to be on the I am lucky part of the
Sure.
curve, and
No.
they happen to be able to get out. And that's really what we're here to do. Give people enough skills that they don't have to like being underwater, because I'm sure you didn't like
No,
it.
I did not like.
But we gave you enough skills that if you found yourself in the same situation, hopefully it will come back to you, and you'll be able to do what you need to get out.
I think the thing that I learned from this the most, I mean, if I'm in ever that scenario, I make sure that I know. Like, I forgot where the door was. So the most important thing to me would be make sure I know where the door is at all times. And
And it's funny that you say that. One of the most important skills is knowing the door that you're sitting next to and
Sure.
how it works.
yeah. No,
Well,
you-
knowing all of your equipment, you should know the aircraft inside and out, or whatever you're in, so that
Right.
you know where your primary exit and secondary exit is. You have to have 2 plans
Sure.
at least.
Okay. Give everybody like a quick overview, if you can, on the spectacular special effects you guys can provide inside there.
Okay, special effects. Most people who are familiar with the training are used to, hey, we're going to go underwater, let's roll you over, you figure out how to get out, you follow the steps, and you come to the surface. And it's a nice, flat, 80-degree pool.
Yep.
Hey, cool. So, The upgrades. We've been in shutdown for 8 weeks. Last Thursday was our grand opening. We actually have the first commercial survival training simulation theater in the U.S. for full environmental simulations. We can do rain, wind, waves, thunder, lightning, strobe lights, search and rescue, downwash, 40-degree water, and it makes it a full environmental theater. So you go into the water, you go upside down, you come up, and it's not flat and happy. But in a real scenario, the odds are very, very high that the weather is what caused you to crash,
Sure.
other than pilot error, which is often the most common cause.
Right.
But so we've upgraded the training and the equipment in the facility to be able to provide somebody with a very realistic experience. And in keeping with the company's philosophy of safety and training, we also upgraded the lifting systems to be fully compliant with OSHA regulations and all military regulations for redundancy and training. So Richard was talking about triple redundancy with the instructor personnel, the equipment, and the protocols. We've done the same redundancy in the lifting personnel, the lifting equipment, and made it so that there's no single point of failure, fully redundant. Even if we lose power in the building, we can still lift the simulator out of the water.
Fantastic. The place is great. I recommend, if the open door policy I think is fantastic. I hope people go over there and take a look at the facility. And you guys are all fantastic. I thank you very much.
Thank you. You did a great job.
Survival Systems USA Inc. Give it a look. Give it a check. Is there a phone number they can call?
860-405-0002.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.